right, folks. So moving on to the last subject of the session. And the question is, will companies be positively or negatively affected by Joe Biden's vaccine mandates? So I'm going to go ahead and lead us off on this one, fellas. And for me, it's quite simple. I would say that on this one, I don't have a stance that leans way more than the other, because the mandates aren't directed at all businesses. They're directed to the government and the healthcare industries. But my initial thought is that it definitely negatively affects those two entities, obviously. In other words, it's my understanding that Joe Biden's mandate specifically says that anyone who is in the healthcare industry, so that's hospitals, or anyone who works for the federal government is required to have the vaccine. So here is what the CNBC article says are the key points. It says President Joe Biden's last vaccination push is the most aggressive effort yet by his administration to get the raging coronavirus pandemic under control. Again, this is the article's words. It says federal employees, federal contractors, and healthcare workers at facilities that receive federal funding must show proof of vaccination with no testing option. So, in other words, this means that if you work for the federal government in any way, whether it's in a healthcare industry that receives federal funding, or you're a federal employee, or you're a federal contractor, they are taking away the ability to just do weekly testing and are forcing the requirement to be vaccinated. Now, let me just make clear, I'm not saying that the numbers aren't significant, because it's a whole mess of people who are federal employees and federal contractors, right? But what I am saying is it looks like that mandate is centralized to that group of people. Now, does this change the fact that I am opposed to forcing people to take the vaccination? Yes, it does. And the reason I'm opposed to that is because it is their constitutional right to choose whether they want to or not. Just like in the case of the abortion, we cannot just start picking and choosing what constitutional rights we want to uphold and which ones we don't. Do you know what kind of world that creates for us? That is the first step to a society where it's just, I'm going to do whatever I want to without consequences. And who you think going to be the most affected group by that? Black people. Let's keep shit a buck, right? Black people want to face the consequences of creating a society that picks and chooses which constitutional rights to follow more than any other group. And I'm not saying that I don't care about other races or cultures. Of course I do. But we're here on the good, the bad, and the truth. And anyone who listens to us know what we're talking about. We're talking about how these things affect the Black community. And the reality of it is, this is in no way, shape, fashion, or form a good situation for anyone in the Black community, federal or not, federal employee or not. Because the implication of this is we don't give a shit about constitutional rights. We're going to mandate what we want to happen because we want to push this vaccine agenda. Now, let me be clear. I am not speaking on whether or not the vaccine works or doesn't work. In my personal opinion, whether a person wants to receive the vaccine or not is their fucking business. Okay? My point is, I don't pick and choose. I feel you, sir. my point is, I don't pick and choose which constitutional right I want to be upheld. All constitutional rights need to be upheld. Now, if people want to say, well, there are some constitutional rights that are very against Black people and et cetera, okay, well, let's start looking at the entire situation in general, right? Let's start looking at the entire Constitution in general. But what you're not going to do is start picking and choosing, especially when Black people are not in the appropriate seats to be able to speak comfortably to what does need to be changed. No, I'm not for it. And no, there's not going to be a positive effect of this. And it's not because I have some agenda about vaccinations or conspiracy theories and all that. It's not about that. I don't give a fuck about that to a certain extent. What I care about is when, right. And, to each their own. I'm not saying that these theories are wrong or right. My point is the person's right to choose whether they want to do it is the person's right to choose. And what Biden is doing is saying, okay, if you're in the federal government, your constitutional, or you work for the federal government or a contractor or are a healthcare provider that receives funding, your constitutional right no matter matters to me. No longer, I cannot get this shit out, no longer matters to me. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. So honestly, that was quick, but that's my stance. To summarize, I'm over all this bullshit about the forcing of the vaccines and trying to force people to take them when people can choose and elect to do so or not do so. I mean, there are people who choosing not to do so for religious reasons. They're going to start forcing those people to do so as well. And for me, the other part that's significant of this is their whole premise is that the vaccine saved lives and etc. Okay, what about the people who contracted COVID after they've been fully vaccinated? I actually personally know a few who have been fully vaccinated who have contracted COVID after that. What about that?
Correct.
So now you're breaking people's constitutional rights on a premise that has been proven to not be accurate. Unacceptable. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. It's that simple. People got to open their eyes. This is bullshit. Forcing people to do anything against their constitutional right is bullshit. All politics aside, that is my main issue. It is bullshit.
Straight bullshit.
And that's really it. That's my thoughts on the matter. I'm going to go ahead and toss it to Mr. PAT. What say you, sir?
All right. So overall, I think the effects of this mandate will be negative. I mean, this whole get vaccinated or else stance that Joe Biden has taken is problematic for various reasons. Companies have to enforce this mandate. And as we all know, this affects the employees. And I'm just mentioning companies because even though some companies don't necessarily have to enforce it, some companies will most likely, get into a place where they will try to enforce it. I think they're going to try to follow suit, basically. Joe Biden coming with this mandate, it started something. It's like a shockwave, basically, because now businesses are going to try to enforce a mandate. It's basically going to be get vaccinated or lose your job, that type of thing. So now people who didn't want to get vaccinated have to choose between getting injected with something they don't want in their body or losing their job. Unfortunately, we're at a point now where people's livelihood is being threatened. Now, people can say that the virus itself is threatening people's livelihood. And while that may be true to a certain degree, the fact is people are more likely to recover than actually die from the virus. Yes, people have died, but the death rate doesn't compare to the survival rate. It's not even close. For anyone who wants to look those numbers up, it's not even close. But instead of encouraging people to build up their immune system, they want to encourage people to get the jab. And we know why they're doing this. And I'm going to say some stuff here. And look, somebody, if people want to say I'm putting on the tinfoil fitted hat or whatever, or I'm coming with the conspiracy theories,
Put it on.
I don't give a fuck. Like,
Put it on.
yeah, right. I'm gonna have to put on the tinfoil fitted hat because we know why they're doing this. Building up your immune system and fighting off viruses and recovering on your own is not profitable. It's just not profitable for the healthcare system. And it doesn't fit the agenda. I'm gonna just say it flat out. It doesn't fit the agenda. Basically, they're not in the business of curing. They're just in the business of treatment, because
Correct.
recovering from a virus or a disease or whatever, it's just not profitable. So they don't want you to recover. They don't want you to get cured. They just want you to come get treatment because that's where the money comes in. That's where the profitability is. Treatments. Also, let's be real. The reason why the establishment wants everyone to get vaccinated is because they want to see that everyone is on board with being injected with anything. This pandemic, and yeah, I said pandemic, is a trial run. It's a trial run.
Yeah.
It's a trial run.
Correct.
If everyone gets the jab, then that means eventually people can go get lined up to get a chip injected in them. That's where this is headed.
Correct.
I don't give a fuck about who says it's a conspiracy theory. I already know it's not, but I don't give a fuck if somebody wants to throw that out there. Go for it. Like I said, I don't give a fuck. It is what it is. This is not, at least for me anyway, this is not about being a quote unquote anti-vaxxer or a quote unquote pro-vaxxer. But at the same time, I see this issue in the same way that I see the abortion issue. This is yet another way for the establishment to control people and to dictate to people what we can or can't do with our own bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So because of Joe Biden's vaccine mandate, I mean, even though it's on the federal level, like I said before, I think it's going to trickle down to the non-federal businesses, and it's just going to trickle down. And with that being said, we're going to see people quitting their jobs, similar to what happened up there in New York in one of the hospitals where several of the staff members quit. So because of that, delivering babies had to be put on pause. And the link will be in the description for those who want to read that article. So imagine if this is happening at other hospitals too. And imagine how many other essential workers might quit their jobs as well. That's going to be a serious problem. I'm telling y'all right now, it's going to be a problem. And let's talk about something that will happen. Lawsuits. Yeah, lawsuits. That's
There's
what's going to
plenty
happen.
of lawsuits going on right now.
Right. There's lawsuits going on now, and there will be more to come. And there's a report that the LAPD employees are suing the city over the vaccination mandate. And there will be a link for that in the description as well. But that's just one example. Now, I'm pretty sure this is going to be a trend all over the nation. This is what's going to happen all over. Employees will be suing. There's
Tons of them.
Yeah, that's coming. That's coming down the pike. So a lot of businesses and institutions could suffer from people quitting and or suing. Now, I say it all remains to be seen, but pushing a mandate like that, it's a problem. As we all know, it's unconstitutional, and it's just very problematic. It's a very problematic thing. Now, there are obviously people who don't want to get vaccinated, and they shouldn't be placed in a position where they have to go get vaccinated for whatever reason that may be, whether it be religious reasons or any other reason. If somebody doesn't want to go get vaccinated, that should be their choice.
And testing too. And testing, yeah,
that included too. That should be a choice. I'm pro-choice with this too. I mean, if you want to go get vaccinated, hey, do your thing. You want to go get tested, do your thing. You don't want to do it, do that too. Like, I mean, but for it to start being a mandatory thing, man, fuck that. Like, for it to be mandatory, come on, man. Like, this is the direction we're going in now. But, there's a larger agenda at play. It's just something bigger at play. So, I already spoke on the negative, but when it comes to, I guess, a positive, I mean, I don't see it. I really don't see it. And speaking of a larger agenda, I mean, we're pretty much headed in a direction of tyranny. Now, that might be a strong word for some folks out there.
No, it ain't a strong word. That's what we're headed to.
Well, yeah, for some folks, not for us, not for people who are, we're about reality, but, it's headed in that direction. Things are just going to get more oppressive as time goes on. There's already a depopulation agenda in effect and a police state on the way. I mean, it's already here, but it's just going to grow. It's just going to metastasize, basically. It's going to grow larger, and it's going to be ready to inflict its will on anyone who dares to question authority and possibly revolt. What's going on in the world today is not by accident. All of what's happening right now, it's happening on purpose. There's a reason for everything. Every single thing you can think of, there is a reason. There are no accidents. It's going on purpose. The fact is, the writing has been on the wall. What's going on in the world today is a reset, and the powers that be are making the moves necessary to make sure that the masses fall in line. So that's really what all this vaccination stuff is. Because let's be real, these people don't give a fuck about anybody's health. They keep saying about your health and your safety. Get the fuck out of here. It's not, you don't give a fuck about anybody's health and safety. Let's just keep it real. This nation does not give a fuck about any of our health and safety. This nation doesn't have feelings. It has interests. They don't care about people's health. They don't care about people's safety. It's about their interests. It's about gaining more control. It's about taking away our freedoms slowly but surely. That's what it's about. So for me anyway, they could fuck out of here with all this bullshit about our health and safety, because I know that you're not about our health and safety. But of course you're going to say that because that's going to make people feel good. That's just going to put people back to sleep, basically. And unfortunately, there are too many people out there who are gullible enough to believe that. So yeah, they're gonna say that, but some of us out there know you're full of shit. So I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Yes, sir. All right. I feel you on that. I'll tell you that much. Mr. Eman, I'm going to throw it to you to wrap us up. And again, the question for our listeners out there was, will companies be positively or negatively affected by Joe Biden's vaccine mandates? What say you, sir?
I feel like all companies, are being attacked. This fool went on his speech. Yes, I call the president a fool and whatnot, because to me, he looks like a guy who might croak at any minute and any time. But I told everyone in a previous episode and whatnot, his best political move, thus being president, when he slipped, when he went to go on Air Force One. I still love it though. I still watch the video. I keep laughing every single time. So before I get back into, my opinion or thoughts and whatnot, I just want to say I love women and whatnot. So I'm just putting it out there and whatnot. So, this is going to hurt a lot of people, not just companies, a lot of people. Now, me going back calling this fool a fool, this fool said that every company that has at least 100 people must get vaccinated and whatnot. So since COVID's been going on, this shit got more rules. I never knew a virus had rules and whatnot. I thought it just had symptoms and whatnot. This shit got more rules than anything else I've ever seen in my life and whatnot. Like, COVID got more rules, point where they're telling people that, this virus lives on surfaces. Oh, man, you got to be 6 feet apart. Now 6 became 3. I was like, hold on, time out. How the hell 6 become 3? Where'd you come to that conclusion and whatnot? Then, they'll go over there and say this, blah, 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 and all that stuff, and they just keep continuing with this thing they keep calling a game and whatnot. But before I continue on my thoughts, right, there is a Netflix, I think, I'm not too sure if it's a series or a show. It's called Stretch Armstrong. It's actually in the kids section of Netflix and whatnot. And there's a nurse that I follow on IG. Her name is like Thick Nurse. And she's an actual nurse who's in California. This show is called Stretch Armstrong. I think it's in the kids section. It looks like it's an anime series and whatnot. They're actually showing basically, a factory or some type of pod where basically people are lining up, getting chipped and whatnot, and it's free and whatnot, and basically, you can use your chip, to go shop in stores and do all those cool things that everyone feels like, they're losing their freedoms of and whatnot. And it's very interesting how this show is on Netflix in the children's section and whatnot. That's the fear that I keep having, because that's how they keep trying to get the kids into something interesting so they can get parents to agree to this sick thing. And it's and that's the one thing that I'm hating, and it's bothering, because when this whole vaccine came out, there was like, okay, they kept naming different age groups and whatnot. Once they got to 12 and older, between 12 and 18, you can go get a vaccine. Parents would line up, getting their kids vaccinated. Doesn't bother me. That is your choice. It's your free will. I don't fight anybody on their own free will. Now, here comes the thing. Many people don't know that the next thing they're going after right now is the 12 and under and whatnot. So now they're coming after the babies. They're coming after the youngins. They're coming after the kids that I enjoy laughing the most with. And this is something that I'm not going to agree with. Because why? Because Mr. Fool over here is just saying what he wants to said, and people are buying into it, whatnot. People are buying into what CNN is saying and whatnot. But yet people are forgetting a few things that many people tend to forget. That Joe Biden, the hoe, Kamala Harris, and all her little buddies and whatnot, in the beginning, they stated because Trump made the vaccine, we ain't going to get the vaccine. But little did I know that, a few of them lined up on national television, including Mr. Dr. Little Midget Fauci, also lined up and got supposedly his shot on television and whatnot, But these are the same people that stated they wasn't even going to get it and whatnot, Then I heard the Pfizer guy, he hasn't got his, but everyone's defending it like, oh, he's going to wait and whatnot. No, he didn't get it and whatnot, And he stated he didn't and whatnot. He stated it. So that's the things that keep bothering me, They trying to tell you this, but they're trying to tell you you're excluded from, like, we're excluded, you got to do this and whatnot. I was like, hold on, that don't make sense. We all live and die the same way. What makes you better than me? Oh, because you're the president or because you have money? See, there goes the separation thing right there. See, that's the kind of control that they really want to take over, your mind and your consciousness. See, and once you have a strong conscience, they always want to attack you because the simple fact is, you keep talking that gibberish, that conspiracy talk and whatnot. That's what they try to attack you with, and all this shit is silly, because here comes the thing, right? People are telling me, about, not just the mask mandates and whatnot, but the masks they saying they're recommended. So I bought the N95 mask. Do you know what it says on the box? The box says that this mask only helps from certain contaminants and whatnot. It don't even say it protects you from viruses and whatnot. Then it says, and this is on the warning label, the warning says itself is, please do not wear this mask to protect yourself from any viruses or diseases. It will result in sickness or in death and whatnot. Because if a kid, and many people don't know, in 2020, there are certain states that kids passed out while they're in school doing physical activity. A lot of schools and a lot of people covered it up and no one said anything about it and whatnot. A lot of people got sued. And I tell everyone, there's been a lot of class action lawsuits going in many different states and whatnot. Many that they're not talking about, at all, because everyone's been glued to CNN and acting like everything hasn't changed yet. There's been a whole lot going on that have not said shit about anything and whatnot, And I'm gonna tell you, bro, what's the crazy thing about it? There are companies, even if they have less than 100 employees, they're actually just, as a group, they're just saying, you know what? Before you can work here, you got to get vaccinated and whatnot. So now you are breaking people's, like, you're not just breaking the law because there's no law behind it. You're not just going beyond people's towards, just saying their constitutional rights don't mean anything. You're telling these people they have no will and whatnot because you're willing to give them a little bit of money and whatnot, a little bit of money, so they can pay their bills. But yet you will fire this person at any time, any given moment and whatnot. And that place can be vacant at any time, any moment, even if they die and whatnot, And I tell every lot of people is, those who are leaving their job because of that, I tell them that's your free will. And I've been really respecting people behind that and whatnot, And there's been hospital shortages when this thing started and whatnot. And I feel like that's what they've been telling people. People's been like, in the, ICUs and whatnot. I've been hearing stories about the things that they're doing in the hospital and whatnot, a whole lot of things. And a lot of them is not good. But a lot of things, and because of that, I have nurse friends, and I'm trying to hold down the just making sure, I'm not breaking any type of contialities, on while I'm talking on the mic. But I can say this and whatnot. What they're doing is murderous, and it's not right at all. And that's what's bothering me every single day, you know, because we already know it's going to be a reset, you know. And I'm also told people in 2030, oh, that's when the shit's really going to begin and whatnot, you know. This is just like PAT said, this is just the trial run, you know. They're trying to figure things out while they're doing the trial and whatnot. Then when this thing's over, what do you think everyone's going to do? They're going to forget about it, go back to their daily life, wait until 2030 hits and whatnot. You know, I told people wait until 2023 hit and whatnot, because many people don't know when 2023 hit, it's going to be an election year and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Remember what happened in 2020. Remember how everyone was attacking everyone and whatnot. Remember how everyone's talking about all these mail-in ballots and whatnot. See, now we're at 2023, getting ready for a 2024 election. It's about to be mayhem and whatnot, you know? And just like Nine Angel said about the truth of people being vaccinated and actually getting COVID, there's been more people who's been vaccinated who's actually gotten COVID and whatnot versus those who've been unvaccinated and whatnot. They actually just been attacking people who are unvaccinated because they're making the right, because they're choosing not to be vaccinated and whatnot. That's the big issue right there. You know, it's not even about the test. It's all about you taking the vaccine and whatnot. And that's why they keep talking about, oh, because you're unvaccinated, it's your fault and whatnot. What do you mean it's my fault and whatnot? How's it my fault? Did I bring COVID here? No, and whatnot. You know, it happened in a lab in China that Mr. Fauci over there, you know, who got it, who basically got it on somebody to bring it over here and whatnot, which I think that's a lie and whatnot, you know, because I'm still trying to figure out how the hell do you get a virus on somebody to bring it to the U.S. to contain it and whatnot. See, that's the question that I have, but the answer you're not going to give me and whatnot.
Which they try to deny at first too.
And they will always deny it every single time.
Yep, they try to act like that was a conspiracy theory.
And they're going to act like that's a conspiracy. I was like, how the hell is that a conspiracy theory? Yet CNN actually said it and whatnot. Why am I looking crazy when I basically saw what CNN put out and whatnot? See, those are the issues and whatnot. See, that's why I can't be around stupid people, because I can't be in a room with them, because I would slap every single one of them because they drive me fucking insane and whatnot. That's why I like to be not bothered by stupid people and whatnot. This is the reason why I can't talk to a Dr. Fauci and whatnot, because I would slap him for saying something stupid every single time when he says stupid things, because it bothers me a lot and whatnot, you know? Because I'd be like, bro, do you hear what you say sometimes?
Well, the thing is, he knows better, but he's a puppet.
And that's the thing.
It's like all of them are. They're puppets.
You know better. And that's the crazy thing. I'd be like, yo, do you hear yourself talk? And you know, I tell people it sounds like I'm rambling, but I'm not. But this topic has been burning with me the day I heard the president open his big mouth and saying the shit that he wanted to say and whatnot, you know, telling people that, you know, is, I don't care about this. I don't care about that. You better go get vaccinated or else and whatnot. The same thing with the Maryland governor also too, you know, forcing people weekly tests and whatnot, you know, you cause more damage in testing someone versus that, you know, actually telling people to be healthy. You know, y'all don't do anything and talk anything about health. You're telling people that basically their health is in a vial and it's going to save everything, whatnot. I don't know who in the hell is not just believing it, but to actually think, you know, that your health is in that vial. You must lost your mind. They went as far to tell people you ain't got an immune system. I sat here was like, yo, what kind of shit is this? That's like telling somebody you ain't got a brain and whatnot, you know, that you ain't got an immune system, you know. And I'm gonna just end my thought, you know, because I feel like I've been going on and rambling and just talking, but you know, this is a more spiritual war than anything else and whatnot, you know. And those who have walked out from their jobs, I say all power to you and whatnot, you know, all power to you, you know, because you done something powerful that many people don't want to do and whatnot. And you believe not just with your own spiritual beliefs, but you will not let nobody overtake over your beliefs, how you choose on that free will and whatnot. And that I have to respect and whatnot. I have to, you know, because you know who you are and you can walk out those doors every single day, you know. And there's a lot of people who are pumped because, you know, I got to pay for this, this, and this, and this, you know, because they move more like robots and rather don't see themselves as a decent human being and whatnot, you know. Because I told people at the end of the day, I want peace, you know, and I want everyone to have their own free will. But the government we are with, this fake democracy that they've been trying to groom us into communism, they don't give a fuck about us. They never have, you know, because if they did, you know, they'll tell people to eat healthier, you know, they wouldn't have so many goddamn, you know, fast food restaurants and whatnot, you know.
That is correct.
You know, they wouldn't have all that stuff, you know, and that's the biggest issue that's been going on, the biggest, you know. So I'm gonna just my final words, my final thoughts, and whatnot. You know, we're in a spiritual battle. You know, everyone who's staying strong, keep strong. You know, if anybody needs spiritual people to talk to, reach out to good people who are willing to have a good conversation and help you out. Cause like I told you, we're all in this together spiritually, and we're gonna fight this and whatnot. Because if we prevail from this, I'm gonna tell you like this: 2030 is about to be this is nothing. Wait until 2030 hits and whatnot, you know. Then we about to be really into, you know, a real war and whatnot, you know. So I'm gonna just end my thoughts on that. And yeah, hopefully everything I said was very beneficial to everyone, you know, my thoughts, because this is something that I've been very, very passionate about, because it's been a real pain of just hearing many stories. And before, you know, we close out and whatnot, I'm gonna just let everyone know that I had 4 people that I know personally who's gotten the vaccine and has died from COVID and whatnot, you know.
I'm sorry to hear that, sir. Sorry for your loss.
4 and whatnot. And to add that now is actually 6, because suppose they said my uncle had COVID complications and whatnot, but yet he had a surgery previous before he even went into the hospital and whatnot, you know, which I don't think it was COVID and whatnot. I think he had a very poor procedure done and whatnot. Then basically they called it as COVID because basically they, you know, they put him on the, you know, the mask and, you know, and sedated them and all that stuff. So they had to call like how they call it, yet they're making money off of it. But, you know, I tell people I don't play around and whatnot. That's what I don't do. You know, I don't do that. You know, I love people and people know I love people, you know, and I care about people, you know, no matter what I say, no matter what I do, no matter how passionate I say it, and it don't matter who I keep calling out, but I always love people, you know. But the thing about what it is, we have assholes that don't care a damn about people, in which they confuse people to hate other people. And that shit needs to stop and whatnot. So I'm ready to close out. And yeah, this was a good one.
All right. Yes, sir, it was. Thank you so much for sharing, E-Man.